your thoughts, your ambitions, the principles you would follow.
Elden Ring is a story of how one finds meaning in their life, inspired by the many conflicting philosophies of how we, as small, ignorant, meek, and tarnished people, may understand the grace of God and their creation. Elden Ring is a marvel of mythopoesis, the creation of new myths from established tradition, taking broad strokes and minor details from the mythic cultures of the Norse, the Germanic, the Celtic, the Roman, and the Christian, yet also more modern, Western ideals born of the existentialist movement of the 20th century. Today, we continue exploring the philosophies of Elden Ring with the sorrowful self-actualization of nihilism. God is dead, God remains dead, and we have killed him. How shall we comfort ourselves, the murderers of all murderers? What was holiest and mightiest of all that the world has yet owned has bled to death under our knives. Who will wipe this blood off us? What water is there to clean ourselves? What festivals of atonement, what sacred games shall we have to invent? Is not the greatness of this deed too great for us? Must we ourselves not become gods simply to appear worthy of it? Friedrich Nietzsche. What instigated the shattering of the Elden Ring, the war of competing ideologies that ravaged the lands between? It was the Night of Black Knives, the night that Ranni the Witch stole a fragment of the Rune of Death and led her Black Knife assassins to kill Godwyn. Sacrificing her flesh to sever his spirit, Ranni transcended her destiny as an Empyrean, no longer required to take Queen Marika's place as the next sacrifice to the Erd Tree. For that is what it means to be a lord, and Ranni the Witch would not see the value of her life, nor the myriad lives of the lands between, have their fates chosen for them. Nihilism is the branch of existentialist philosophy popularized under the writings of Friedrich Nietzsche, most closely represented in 3 books, Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Beyond Good and Evil, and The Gay Science. Nihilist philosophers observe in society that the essentialist ideas of natural law or preordained purpose have already been abandoned by culture and philosophy as a whole. We have no access to the one pure truth of Christianity anymore, nor any consistency among those who still profess the faith too much. In place of the loss of essentialism, there is only nothing. Nothing, nothing. In its place, we have only our own rational faculties to determine our own values, only our own skill to make those values real and enshrined in social structures, our croft and our mocked. The very idea that something could be fated has been conquered. When following Ranni's quest, the concept of fate is central to how other characters, still following other religious ideas, describe Ranni's goal, in terms of fate and related to the movement of the stars. With this instruction, the player continues to follow the path of the Nietzsche quote, from Black Knives to the Radon Festival, by putting down the once mighty General Radon, who ceased the movement of the stars. We atone for the sin of the Night of Black Knives and open the hidden path to Noxtella, the city of the Dark Star. Deep within its sister city, Nokron, we retrieve for Ranni the Finger Slayer Blade, a treasured blade that may only be wielded by one who does not have a fate, yet may still harm the greater will. Ranni the Witch, no longer an Empyrean, in the body of a puppet, is one such person without a fate. We may learn the nature of this Finger Slayer blade elsewhere in the lore by this specific and distinct pattern of a weapon whose hilt and guard look like flesh and bone. First, most closely, the sacred relic sword wielded by the Elden beast, made from Radagon's flesh. It is considered the mark of a great sin, just the same as the high treason of Nokron suggested by the Finger Slayer blade's description. Second, we also see the same form inverted in the Carian regal scepter, remembering that the word Carian means meat or flesh. A bit of wordplay there. Here we may begin to see Ranni's plan come together. She wishes to be free from her fate as an Empyrean, and to free all people from their fate under the greater will. Devotion to the greater will alone created false and harmful duties. As described on the Order Healing Incantation, the noble Great Mask lamented what had become of the hunters, how easy it is for learning and learnedness to be reduced to the ravings of fanatics. All the good and the great wanted, in their foolishness, was an absolute evil to contend with. To remove her fate, she stole the rune of death, but it was not enough. She needed a weapon made from the flesh of a god to kill a god, to remove the notion of inventing a great evil to be juxtaposed against, to kill the essence of determined fate. Now, the translation of Rani's lines here and in her ending have been somewhat disputed. I, however, believe that the translation was less attempting to literally preserve the Japanese line, but rather to present an archaic and regal speech pattern that in turn would preserve the meaning behind Rani's quest, focusing not on the senses or impossibility, but on the word certainties. In nihilism's ethical philosophy, moral absolutes are impractical and to a certain extent impossible. Absolute imposed morality is the stuff of essentialism. Yet as Nietzsche discussed in Beyond Good and Evil, as do other existentialists such as the writings of Simone de Beauvoir, there must be a degree of ambiguity in our ethics. Rani would keep the serious ethics of the Golden Order far away. She would make such certainties, the convictions of the ethically inflexible, into impossibilities. We players, believing in her dream of a world without fate, vow to go with her as her consort to the Cathedral of Heaven's Hand, Manus Celis. Because the world cannot be ordered into a harsh binary of only moral goods and opposing heresies, there must be compassion for people who find themselves caught between that which they cannot control. He who fights with monsters might take care, lest he thereby become a monster. And if you gaze for long into an abyss, the abyss gazes also into you. Friedrich Nietzsche. When Rani gazed into the night conjured by her mother Ranala, a night of rebirth and second chances, Rani saw a cold, dark moon, a kind and gentle night, freed from the fates imposed by the harsh light of the greater will. Nietzsche's nihilism is a philosophy inundated with poetics and misunderstandings. Yet, at its core, it is a philosophy of self-determination and a call for moral flexibility and compassion. Is that not the next age we wish to see foretold by the stars? Stay true.